Attacks on officers by the same alleged gunman, assassination attempts. Surveillance video shows the suspect, his name is Robert Williams, apparently walking into a police station and officers running for cover after gunshots rang out. This all unfolded less than 12 hours after an officer was wounded inside a police van. Our lead national correspondent, that's David Begnaud, is at the 41st Precinct in the Bronx where Williams was captured. David, this video very chilling. What do you know about him?
Well, Gail, if detectives know why he did this, they haven't told us just yet. What we do know is he has a lengthy criminal history. He actually served time in prison for attempted murder and was released recently. He walked through the front door of that NYPD precinct and started shooting.
This is not a crime gone bad. This is a premeditated assassination attempt.
That is New York City's police commissioner. He called the suspect a coward. The city's mayor condemned the violence on New York's finest.
An attack on a police officer is an attack on all of us.
Surveillance appears to show 45-year-old Robert Williams walk into the precinct and start shooting. Uniformed officers and civilians were scrambling for cover. Williams shot a police lieutenant in the arm before running out of bullets, and that gave the officers just enough time to swarm him and arrest him. Williams began his rampage Saturday night. He allegedly approached two officers in a police van. He asked them for directions and then opened fire. One of the officers was struck in the neck. The bullet narrowly missed a vital artery.
New developments on the NYPD officers ambushed in the Bronx. The suspect, 45-year-old Robert Williams, now facing a list of charges, including attempted murder. Police say this video shows Williams firing on officers inside the 41st Police Station in Longwood this morning. Police say Williams is the same man who shot at two officers sitting inside a patrol van last night. We have team coverage tonight, including reaction from Williams' family. But we want to begin with CBS 2's Hazel Sanchez. She's live outside the 41st Precinct in the Bronx where that wild shootout took place. Hazel.
Yeah, and Jessica, if you take a look behind me, you can see the yellow police tape still securing the crime scene here at the 41st Precinct Station House, where police say ex-con Robert Williams walked in with one goal in mind: to kill cops. Today, Police Commissioner Dermot
He may have never expressed it, but the actions of Robert Williams tell a different story. Williams already served 15 years in prison for attempted murder after a shootout with police in 2002. And he's currently on parole. Police say over the weekend, Williams was back at it, trying to kill officers. First targeting officers in a patrol van. Then opening fire at the 41st Precinct Station House. Police say Williams was driven there by a longtime friend who is now a witness. We tried to speak with her, but there was no answer at the door.
Well, it was shocking to me. Well, he was a good person.
Happening today, the man accused of shooting two police officers in the Bronx will return to court. 45-year-old ex-con Robert Williams is charged with attempted murder. Investigators say last month he opened fire on two police officers inside their patrol van in Hunts Point. Officer Paul Straffolino was hit in the chin and neck. He was treated and released from Lincoln Hospital. About 12 hours after the first attack, police say Williams walked into the 41st Precinct and fired multiple rounds at officers until his gun jammed. About a dozen officers rushed in to take him down.
Shootout took place. Dave.
Jessica, right now, this precinct station house on Longwood Avenue is an active crime scene after Bronx officers were ambushed and shot. Surveillance video from the 41st Precinct Station House shows a man with a gun who burst in here just before 8 Sunday morning, identified by police sources as 45-year-old Robert Williams. They say he's an ex-con who they say is seen here aiming and firing. This different camera angle shows one officer's startled reaction to gunshots. He ducks. The gunman hits the floor. Witnesses say his gun jammed. The gun is tossed, and here you clearly see it sliding across the station house floor. Here you briefly see, in the white shirt, the police lieutenant, identified by police sources as Lieutenant Jose Gautreau, who was shot in the arm. And from another angle, you see the injured lieutenant again in the background looking on as his brothers and sisters in blue rush in to subdue the man. At least 12 officers making sure this invader does not get up until restraints are on. This photo of the weapon, describing this crime as a man on a spree, trying to kill cops in the Bronx. And they believe this was his second time in less than 12 hours in 2 different locations, firing bullets into cops. And mercifully, both cops survive.
It is a miracle that we are not here under worse circumstances.
This was an attempt to assassinate police officers. We need to use that word because it was a premeditated effort to kill.
Police say the same gunman's first law enforcement victim was Officer Paul Straffolino.
Other headlines now. The NYPD officers targeted and shot at twice in less than 24 hours.
Tonight, the Bronx man accused in the attacks is behind bars as officers stand united against violence. CBS 2's Allie Bauman live at the 4-1 Station House in Hunts Point tonight. Allie.
Maurice and Christine, Robert Williams is charged with 13 counts of attempted murder of a police officer. He already has a lengthy rap sheet, and prosecutors claim he not only admitted to these shootings, but he also allegedly told investigators he did it because he was tired of police. His ear bandaged and eyes swollen from Sunday's arrest, Robert Williams faced a judge in the Bronx Monday accused of ambushing NYPD officers twice in just 12 hours. A sea of police filled the courtroom for his arraignment.
Let us not forget that over this weekend, police officers may have had to go home, shine their shoes, get in their uniform, and go to a funeral.
Video from Saturday night shows the gunman opened fire on officers sitting in a police van in Hunts Point after allegedly asking them for directions. Officer Paul Straffolino was shot in his chin and neck. Prosecutors claim Williams then went to a nearby restaurant for dinner and in the morning grabbed breakfast before casually walking into the 41st precinct and firing several rounds. Lieutenant Jose Goutreau was shot in the arm before prosecutors say Williams' gun jammed and about a dozen officers rushed to subdue him. Prosecutors claim Williams admitted to both shootings, telling investigators he was tired of police. And while in custody at the hospital, prosecutors claim the 45-year-old suspect told officers at his bedside, "I'm going to shoot one of you when I get out."
We need our politicians to recognize that this individual, there's more than them.
The Sergeants Benevolent Association went so far as to say it's declaring war on the mayor.
De Blasio is to blame for this. The anti-police rhetoric is now fostered an atmosphere of hate.
But de Blasio fired back. 15 years in prison for attempted murder. After his arraignment, the Police Benevolent Association president addressed officers directly.
You need to be careful, but more importantly, we need to back each other up.
And sources tell us Williams also made statements about feeling disrespected by police during his 2018 DWI arrest. He's being held without bail and is due back in court on Friday.
Civilians, identified by sources as Robert Williams.
He immediately pulls out a gun and fires multiple rounds towards the desk area where several uniformed members of the service